So in the previous video we derived or came up with the quadratic formula. Now we're going to use it in the case where we have real number solutions. So we start off with a quadratic equation quadratic equation to solve, that we want to solve. So we say, hey, I have this equation I want to solve. 2x squared equals 15 minus 7x. And we want to use the quadratic equation to solve it. But what we need to remember is we need our equation in standard form. It has to be equal to 0 before we can get the values for a, b, and c. So the first step is to get a quadratic equation equal to 0. And to do that, we're going to need to add 7x to both sides. So I'm going to get my 2x squared that I already have, add the 7x to both sides, and then we're going to need to subtract 15 from both sides. And once the quadratic equation is equal to 0, I'm ready to get my values for a, b, and c. So in this case we see a is 2, b is positive 7, so we look at the operator in front of the coefficient. So in this case it's plus, so it's going to be a plus or positive 7. And c is going to be equal to negative 15 because the operator in front of the 15 is a minus sign. So we're going to get a negative 15 right there. And once we have it, we need to come up here. We're going to set up our formula. Notice it has an x equals. So in general, in the homework and on exams, if you leave off the x equals piece, you will get marked down on the assignment. And then the other thing that's important is x is just a generic name for the variable. So if the variable were t, instead of x, we would do t equals. But in this case, it's x, so we'll stick with the x equals. So we'll start off x equals, and then it's just a matter of loading the formula, the opposite of b. So if b is 7, the opposite of 7 is negative 7. And then we get our plus or minus from right here, and then we get the square root, and we need to take b, which was 7, and square it. And then we need to subtract 4 times a times c. But a is 2 and c is negative 15. So a is 2 and c is negative 15. And then we'll pull that radical all the way over all of the numbers. If you pull it part way over in a homework or on an exam, this gets marked down. So the radical comes all the way over, and we get 2 times a in the denominator, but a was equal to 2. And once we've loaded the formula, it's just simply a matter of going through and simplifying it until we get 2 answers. We're going to get 2 answers because of the plus or minus. So I get my negative 7 plus or minus the square root. 7 squared is going to be a 49. I'm going to have a negative times a negative, giving me a plusy. And then I'm going to get 15 times 2 is 30, and 34 times is going to be 120. Pull the radical all the way over both numbers. Everything over 2 times 2 is 4, and we just keep simplifying. We go until we can't go any further. So plus or minus the square root, and now we're going to get 169. And this is all over 4. Negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 169 is 13. And now we have 2 integer values in the numerator, so those are going to be easy to add and subtract. So I have negative 7 minus 13 is going to be negative 20 over the denominator of 4, comma, I'm going to get a second answer, negative 7 plus 13. So negative 7 plus 13 is a positive 6 over the denominator of 4 equals, and now I have negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5, and 6/4 reduces to 3/2. 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 4 twice. So we get x equals negative 5 and 3/2. And if for some reason you were asked to do it in set notation, you would just say x is an element of the set that contains negative 5 and 3/2.